Rain poured relentlessly over Norfolk, Virginia, blurring streetlights into long golden streaks. Mark Reynolds tightened his worn jacket as he finished his janitor shift at a downtown office building. Every night felt the same: mop floors, empty trash, count hours, then hurry home to his 8-year-old son waiting alone. Mark's thoughts stayed fixed on Ethan, who trusted him completely despite their small apartment and second-hand furniture. Since Ethan's mother passed away, Mark had learned to stretch dollars and energy alike. Exhaustion followed him everywhere, yet responsibility kept him moving, even when his legs begged him to stop. Near the naval base entrance, traffic slowed as rainwater pooled along the curb. Mark noticed a black sedan stalled by the roadside, hazard lights blinking weakly. A woman stood beside it, drenched and clearly overwhelmed. Cars sped past without stopping, splashing water as if she were invisible. Mark hesitated for only a second. He was tired, soaked, and already late, but something tugged at him. He crossed the street, shielding the woman with his cracked umbrella. She looked surprised, her composed face briefly cracking with relief as he asked if she needed help. The woman introduced herself simply as Sarah. Her voice was calm, practiced, yet carried strain. She explained the car wouldn't start and her phone battery was dead. Mark set his bucket down, knelt in the rain, and popped the hood using knowledge learned from years of fixing old cars. Water dripped from his hair as he tightened a loose cable and wiped his hands on his pants. He asked Sarah to try the ignition. The engine sputtered, then roared to life. For a moment, the rain, traffic, and stress faded, replaced by shared relief and quiet laughter. Mark helped guide the car to a safer parking spot, pushing with all his strength. Sarah offered him money, insisting he deserved it for stopping in such weather. Mark shook his head firmly, explaining he just wanted to get home to his son before bedtime. Something in his voice caught Sarah's attention. There was no bitterness, only determination. She thanked him sincerely, asking his name. When he answered, he seemed embarrassed by the attention and quickly wished her a safe night, already stepping back into the rain. As Mark walked away, Sarah watched his hunched figure disappear under flickering streetlights. She sensed she had just witnessed a rare kind of integrity, unpolished, unannounced, and deeply human. Few people helped without expecting recognition, especially when life was already heavy. What Mark never realized was that Sarah Collins wasn't an ordinary commuter caught in the storm. Beneath the soaked coat and quiet manners stood a U.S. Navy Admiral, accustomed to authority and salutes. That night, however, rank meant nothing. Kindness had spoken first. The following evening, Mark Reynolds was finishing dinner with his son, Ethan, when a sharp, unexpected knock echoed through their small Norfolk apartment. He frowned, drying his hands on a rag, and opened the door to find 2 uniformed Navy officers standing stiffly, followed by a woman he immediately recognized from the night before. Mark blinked in disbelief as the woman smiled warmly, the same composed face now framed by the dim hallway light. She introduced herself properly this time: Admiral Sarah Collins. Her presence made Mark instinctively straighten, a mix of awe and confusion washing over him. He stammered, unsure why an admiral would be at his apartment. Sarah explained everything, her voice calm but carrying genuine warmth. The Navy had quietly learned about Mark's heroic act, helping her stranded in the rain without expectation of reward. His selfless courage had not gone unnoticed. The officers standing behind her nodded respectfully, silently affirming the Admiral's words. She paused, glancing at Ethan with a soft smile. "And this little man," she said, "deserves to see his father recognized too." Mark felt a lump form in his throat. Raising a child alone while working exhausting hours had been a constant struggle. Recognition, especially from someone like her, felt surreal. The Admiral continued, explaining a Navy facilities program opening in Norfolk that required reliable, honest, and hard-working individuals. She personally recommended Mark for a stable position that included fair wages, benefits, and hours that allowed him to spend evenings with Ethan. Mark's heart raced. This could change everything for them. Weeks passed in a whirlwind of paperwork, interviews, and nervous anticipation. Mark still couldn't fully grasp the irony. One ordinary act of kindness had set in motion a life-altering chain of events. The Navy program welcomed him, offering a position that promised financial stability and a sense of respect he had rarely felt. On his first day, Mark donned the uniform that symbolized more than just employment. It represented recognition, opportunity, and a brighter future for Ethan. The office was orderly and professional, but Mark's mind often drifted back to that rainy night, the moment when helping someone without expectation became the turning point of his life. Ethan's eyes widened when Mark arrived home the first evening, with a steady schedule and new stories to share. They cooked dinner together, laughing more freely than they had in months. The burdens of survival had been lightened, replaced by hope and the promise of stability. Mark realized that life could shift in unexpected ways. Even weeks later, rainstorms reminded Mark of that pivotal night. He would smile quietly, thinking of Admiral Collins and how one act of compassion had rewritten his future. From struggling janitor to respected federal employee, Mark's life was transformed not by luck but by selfless action. The memory of rain, kindness, and unexpected opportunity remained etched in his mind forever. Mark often shared the story with Ethan, emphasizing the power of helping others. The lesson was simple but profound. Generosity, even in small moments, can ripple far beyond imagination. Mark's journey had proven that integrity and compassion could create miracles, changing a life with no expectation of reward. The Admiral's knock had not just altered his career, it had rewritten their entire future.